And British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is scrambling to sell his new Brexit deal to doubters in London. He agreed on a new divorce deal with the EU just 24 hours ago, and now he has to face a vote in Parliament tomorrow. It's an uphill task for Mr. Johnson, though, who doesn't command a majority in the House of Commons. He needs 318 votes in the 650-seat Parliament to get that deal approved. Now, analysts suggest that the vote, well, it's going to be very tight, because Mr. Johnson must persuade not just the opposition, but rebels in his own party. His Northern Ireland allies, the Democratic Unionist Party, or DUP, they have already said that they're opposed to the deal. If MPs don't support him, the Prime Minister would then have to abide by a law requiring him to ask the EU for a third Brexit extension. Now, he's previously said that he would rather die in a ditch than do so. Now, over in Brussels, European Union leaders are meeting for a second day of their summit. Let's cross over to Mia Alberti in Brussels for more. Mia, what's the main message that from EU leaders at the end of this summit?
Well, on Thursday night, when they announced that the EU Council approved this new Brexit deal, I think the message was very clear, which was, our part is done, and now it's up to you, to the UK, to approve it. I think everyone was very clear in saying that that they are tired of so much negotiations, that it was very difficult to get to this point, and that they want to get this over with. We heard that from Prime Minister Boris Johnson, we heard that from the EU Council President Donald Tusk and the Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker. But it was also a sweet and sour day for the UK, because at the same time EU negotiators were celebrating this new deal and very positive about it getting approved by the UK Parliament, but at the same time they were parting ways with one of its oldest and most important members. So, you know, it was a sweet and sour day, but I think it ended on a very positive note, and fingers crossed that it would be approved by the UK Parliament.
Mia, the fate of this deal now, it really hangs in the balance, because analysts are saying that the vote in the UK Parliament tomorrow, that's where they're going to meet, and it's not often that they meet on a Saturday as well. It hangs on a knife's edge. What would it mean for the EU if this deal does not pass?
I think the EU will just have a big roll of eyes, first of all. And I think if they don't approve this deal, I think we'll have to see first what the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson does first, because if he goes forward with a no deal, then the EU has no other option than to prepare for that scenario in such a short time, just 2 weeks until October 31st. But if Boris Johnson decides to comply with the Ban Act that requires him to ask for an extension, then we've heard today some EU leaders arriving at the European Council summit saying that they would be open for that. We saw Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, we saw reports that she said that if the deal is not approved, there is no other option but to grant an extension to the UK. But we also heard from, for example, Luxembourg's Prime Minister, Xavier Bettel. He said that he doesn't approve an extension if there is no reason for it. He says just for the sake of giving the UK an extension is not good enough reason to grant it. So you see, but it's not up to him or, for example, to Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker, who also said that he would not support an extension. This is ultimately a decision for all member states to do, and they are most likely to follow, for example, German Chancellor Angela Merkel or Emmanuel Macron, the French President. Both of them will be talking on Friday during the summit, and we'll be updating you on what they say. They might refer to their position on the extension, and their position will be the one that's followed by the bloc.
Well, another 24 hours to come, and we'll all be a lot clearer on the fate of this particular deal. Mia, thank you very much for that perspective. We've been speaking there to Mia Alberti in Brussels.